Welcome back to another episode of Podstalgic. This is a podcast where we take a nostalgic look and rediscover movies new and old. And for this episode, we are going back to 1998 to review Faculty, The Faculty. And joining me on this episode is a longtime friend, longtime podcasting collaborator, is Michael Denniston, who's making his return from do I have this right? The podcast Tit?
Well, you just increased our numbers. It's called Trilogy in Theory, but if you want to shorten it, we'll probably get more hits if people are searching for things. But they'll be very angry to hear just two old dudes talking movies and no boobs. It's just an audio medium. We'll talk about them sometimes, I guess, but
Maybe in this episode too.
maybe this episode. Yeah, I had forgotten that they slipped in some like 80s style nudity in the very end of this movie. Totally slipped my
So did
mind for
I.
some reason. That's
So
not the reason I said we need to record this, Peter. I just want to make that clear.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I say that because I forget the context, but in one of your text messages, you did reply like capital T, lowercase I, capital T. You know, just like tit. I'm gonna have to bring that up.
You know,
So
it's just shorthand. It's just for fans of the show, the tit heads, as we
yeah,
call them, that love trilogy and theory.
is that right? Is that what you guys call them? You guys have
I
tit
mean,
heads?
privately, but now I guess it's public. Yes.
In this public. Yeah, for those that have been longtime subscribers and supporters of Nostalgic, formerly Hydrate Level 4, and will recognize your voice from a lot of different episodes. So you did pick this one kind of for the spooky season. We're gonna revisit the faculty. Before we get into that, let's jump back to Christmas of 1998. Did not, peg this for a Christmas movie. I don't
See,
know
now you
if
can double
we
dip. So you release this during the spooky season, and then a
yeah.
couple months later, re-release it, so I can get more promotion for Tit, the podcast called
Right.
Tit.
I'm gonna re-release it. It's gonna be like the only two episodes back to back. Like,
There you go.
um, we don't get the sense of like exactly when this. We're not even gonna get into the movie just quite yet. So, 1998. The number one song at the time of the movie's release was okay. I had it up. My apologies. Where is it? No, it is. I'm Your Angel by R. Kelly and Celine Dion.
Don't have a memory of that one.
I don't hear it in my head, but Kells, he's problematic now. 1998, big year. I believe Gotham City might have come out the same year, the song Gotham City. I could be mistaken in that, but man, so much has changed since the 90s here. We got Diddy, in jail, serving some time. Uh, a lot has happened, but yeah, I mean, man, R. Kelly had fingerprints on all types of music and productions, bands and artists. Kind of wild.
Yeah, we're not being politically correct by not remembering this. I think we're just old, or that was
Yeah.
just a weird blip as far as like a chart topping hit. But I have no memory of this whatsoever.
Yeah. I mean, he was definitely on my playlist and stuff. Like I said, I mean, the music I was listening to at the time, it was really hard to escape him. He produced so much, and all that. Casey and JoJo also came out with like, All My Life earlier this year. He's produced several songs for them as well. So, yep, there we go. That guy, man, I tell you. I'm more fond of like the Dave Chappelle, like skits,
Hmm.
of
That I
R. Kelly.
remember. I
Yeah,
know
that
those.
stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the court stuff, that was fun. Movies. So the movies that came out the same week, we got Patch Adams, Stepmom, Mighty Joe Young, Down to the Delta. Not familiar with that one. Then Red Line, familiar with that. Uh, let's see, just kind of going through the rest of them. I think as I get down, these are you're not going to be familiar with, but those first four, Patch Adams, Stepmom, Mighty Joe Young, any of these you revisit or familiar with?
Um, I don't think I've ever seen Mighty Joe Young. Patch Adams and Stepmom. I know I've seen before, but it's probably been since they're like video releases,
Right.
like soon after they left theaters. So no, not as far as revisiting. I am looking at the list. You brought up the faculty coming out on Christmas Day. Uh, Patch Adams and Stepmom, even Maya Joe Young is like a sort of family adventure. All of those kind of make sense. Sort of sentimental with Patch Adams and Stepmom. The faculty is definitely the curveball as far as a Christmas Day release for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if the idea that went behind in releasing that around that time.
Probably
Um,
Scream, because I think the was it 96 is when Scream came out, and then Scream 2 the following year, and they both came out in December. So I'm guessing Miramax slash Dimension here was like, oh, horror movies are popular like around the holidays. And this one I guess initially not as much, certainly not as much as Scream, but it has become somewhat of a it has a following, the faculty,
yeah,
which is probably just, the old heads like us feeling nostalgic.
right. So let's get into that now. And just real quick, Patch Adams. I think that was based on a true story, right? Robin
Yes,
Williams.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I do remember seeing that.
I can't vouch for the what the truthfulness was as far as that guy, but I assume there was a doctor that used, comedic stylings. Probably not as funny as Robin Williams, but clown nose. I remember that. That was on the
Yeah,
poster, right? Yeah.
yeah, and a big clown shoes. I think as well. But yeah, the faculty. I remember seeing it at the theaters, so we'll get into it now. Kind of any connections or history with it. But I remember seeing it in the theater, and I was trying to remember how I felt in the theater while watching it for this review, and it was almost like watching a new movie. This isn't a movie I don't think I've seen this since the movie theater. However, it's crazy, and we'll get into like who's all in the film, but the actress Laura Harris, I believe it is, that plays Mary Beth, she had a very familiar face, and for at first I thought it was like Anna Faris. Like she has a bit of
Okay.
a Anna Faris look, and I was just like maybe she colored her eyebrows blonde as well or something. And so like I had to look it up because it was bothering me. I was just like, oh, Laura Harris. So like that name didn't ring a bell. I actually didn't look up the rest of her films to see like where I might know her from, but she had just a familiar face. It made me think that have I seen this more than I thought I have? But no, it's just as other characters were popping up, I was just like, no, I didn't remember this person in it, and I didn't remember. So it was almost like watching a new movie. I'll tell you what I do remember. I do remember. I didn't remember it was Famke Janssen, right?
Yeah. Jean
I
Grey.
didn't remember it was her, but I remember the head scene where she's
Mm.
decapitated and it tries to crawl to its body. So that I remember. I didn't remember that it
You know
was
what I remembered
bodies. Yeah,
about that
what?
relationship, that teacher? I didn't actually remember the decapitated head sequence with the tentacles. I did remember her being a little too into the fifth year senior, Josh Hartnett. I remembered I was like, at some point when she becomes, alien like, doesn't she get a little too touchy? And yep, sure enough, there's a sequence where she's like shoving him and like getting in his face. But even before that, she's like really intrigued by his answers in class. And that probably hit different when I was, younger than the characters in the film by a couple of years. And I probably had no problem with it, but now as an old man, I was like, "Oh, I don't know if a
Yeah.
teacher should be that impressed with the student's answer. Like it looks like she wants to just throw herself at him, and then later in the film, she does.
Oh yeah. I mean, this movie may have created a few categories in the porn industry.
Well,
With teachers and stuff.
as I said, it's developed a following. So I'm not, I don't know why that is, but if people like certain things other than the alien horror elements, go for it. You know what I remembered the most? Josh Hartnett's hair. This will not surprise you because
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with men's hair.
Yeah.
What is happening here? What is this? What is this look? What is this?
So
It's like
so
longer on the
that
sides, but kind of
yeah.
buzzed at the bottom. Like what? It's a bedhead kind of aesthetic.
That was a look I do remember. It wasn't huge. It wasn't like, how Ashton Kutcher came out with like the 70s show and then everybody started doing that. That was something I was kind of familiar with, your skater boys and such had a very similar look. If we want to believe IMDb, it says that Josh Hartnett, kind of cut his own hair and he was also doing like Halloween H2O.
I believe
Both
that.
production, yeah, both productions hated it. But he was just like, yeah. So I guess he just showed up that way. None of the productions liked it, but they kept it anyway. And I don't know. I don't think it's a bad
It's a
look. I
flex.
actually kind of forget. Yeah.
It's a flex
It-
because you have to look like Josh Hartnett to pull it off. Because if you're, and I don't remember that Sean Hatoshi, he's in the pit now, but he's the
right.
star.
He just won a Emmy for that.
And since I like to play hot or not, in particular with men on screen, he aged very well. I never would have thought
Yeah.
the kind of quarterback from the faculty, like he's got the sort of grizzled, he's got the gray going on. He looks very good in the pit. Would
Yeah.
not ever have picked it. And it's funny when we were watching the pit earlier this year, like binge watching it. I said to my wife, I was like, "That's the quarterback from the faculty," and she's like, "What? What are you doing? What do you,
I wouldn't have
where do you get
remembered.
this shit?" Yeah, I
Yeah.
remembered. So hats off to him. But yeah, Josh Hartnett cuts his own hair and he's still like the cool guy. It's still like the
Right.
character everyone wants to be.
Speaking of Josh Hartnett, I do also remember from the trailer the slow-mo of him like ripping off like the handle
Yes,
of the paper
yes.
cutter or whatever. I remember that.
It's funny you
And
mentioned that because when that happened in the movie, I was like, have I watched this 1,000 times? Why do I know this image so much? It's like it's because
right.
it was like a big trailer moment, like the slow-mo and
Mhm.
the bad haircut, getting ready to axe Jon Stewart to death.
Yeah, so that one I remember vividly, and I also remember the part in the beginning where Elijah Wood's character, Casey, he's like being left up by several people, and they're doing the thing where they ram him into the pole in between his legs, because I remember like the audience having like an audible like laugh.
So I was watching it this morning with my wife. She didn't laugh. She just found that horrifically violent. She's like, "Oh
Yeah,
God," because they like repeatedly do it. And she's a few years younger than me, which would put her in the realm of, I was a teenager. She would have been like, 12 or 13 when this came out. And I would have thought for sure this would be like a VHS rental for that like age group, but she had no memory of this whatsoever. So, you and I are like right there together, but that
yeah.
just shows you that like some of these teen movies, it's like pinpointed to like within like probably a 2 or 3 year span. But she was like, this was not like a nothing movie for her. She did mention 10 Things I Hate About You. That was because I was kind of quizzing her. I'm like, well, what were you watching around that? And apparently Heath Ledger and Julia Stiles, those were big for her age group right behind us. Faculty, she didn't even know this movie existed.
I don't blame her, and it's not a bad movie too. Like
I'm going to tell her you said that.
I mean, excuse me. Let's go over the cast real quick. First off, I did not remember that it was directed by Robert Rodriguez, which makes sense when you see Salma Hayek. I was just
Yeah.
like,
God
I saw
bless
her,
him.
I was just like, oh, but I did not see who directed it until the very end. That's when the credits popped up. I was like, oh shit, okay, Robert Rodriguez. I started thinking about it. I mean, I thought it was well directed, you know. Kevin Williamson, I'm very familiar, obviously, as a writer of like Scream, and he also, I don't remember if he created, but he was very much a part of a show that was
Dawson's
canceled
Creek.
after one. Oh, was he part of that too? Okay,
Dawson's Creek is his big, like his big TV hit.
got it.
But
Did not know that. That
yeah,
also makes sense for like all these, like young, sexy cast members. I could kind of see that, but no, it's God, what was it called? Stalker. I think it's like Stalker or Stalkers, and it was a procedural. Maggie Q, I believe, was the lead. Also with I'm blanking on who the other lead was, but yeah, and every episode was about a stalker,
is
and
this
they
a recent one?
also maybe like 10 years ago.
Okay, that's kind of the hard part. Like,
Yeah,
it's one reason I like to revisit, I guess, this time period. It's not
yeah,
just nostalgia for me, but like even something like The Faculty, which I will mirror what you said. Like, I did see this one in theaters, and I don't think I thought much of it when I watched it
yeah,
theatrically. Like, I thought it was okay. But back then, there was not this deluge of content that even like something like The Faculty, which my wife was like, I don't know what that is. You still would be aware that there was like, oh yeah, there was a Josh Hartnett movie, but I didn't watch it. But now there could be stuff with like creators that I really like their work, and I have no idea that it came and went because there's just so much stuff now. So like if you were a hater of Dawson's Creek, which I'm sure there were a ton of back in the 90s, you would
Sure.
still be aware that the quarterback from Varsity Blues was on some show with Katie Holmes, even if you didn't watch it. But now, I mean, there can be stuff mentioned, and I'm even into this stuff, and I still have no idea of like probably 80% of the stuff that's coming out.
Oh yeah, yeah, 100%. Apparently this is Jordana Brewster's first film. At
Oh,
least
really?
it's
Okay.
yeah, I think that's what I remember reading. Now someone I recognize and I've never really learned the pronunciation of her name. Is it Clea or Clay Duvall?
She's one of the more recognizable ones,
Yeah,
I think,
I remember.
from that era. Like she was in
Yes.
a lot of stuff. Girl Interrupted, as far as drama. She was in Identity. Have you done that one? It's like a John Cusack kind of thriller.
Oh, I don't believe I've done that, but I actually quite enjoy
That seems like
that
something I
movie.
think you would
Yeah.
dig. Like,
Yeah,
if we ever
absolutely.
podcast again, that should be something. Maybe we should do that one as well.
Would
But
love
she's
it.
been in a lot of
Love me some John
TV
Cusack.
series, like Veep, Handmaid's Tale, American Horror Story. So yeah, she's definitely one of the more recognizable ones.
Yeah, so I remembered her, Josh Hartnett, Usher, and might have been it. Didn't remember Famke Janssen. Sure as hell didn't remember BB Newirth. So here's the thing. I feel like I might have told you recently, but I had never watched Cheers up until this year, right? And so I've been binging it. We're in October now. I've been binging it since about February, March,
I'm not
and
gonna
I'm
hold
almost
that against you, by the way, because I've never actually sat down and watched Cheers. Like I would see random reruns as a kid in syndication out of order. But Cheers for us, that was a little bit ahead of our time. We would not have
yeah,
been as children interested in the workings of a Boston bar. Probably not as very young
no.
children.
No, I was growing up with the Tanners basically, and
Yeah.
Sam Beckett over at Quantum Leap. Um, but so BB Newworth is not someone I would have remembered from Cheers, obviously, but I actually knew her more as the aunt from Manji. When she had like a really small part in there. So when I saw her, I was, it excited me because I become a fan of her on Cheers, and so I have like what like two seasons left,
Oh wow.
and I was just
Okay.
I wanted to revisit like a beloved sitcom that I had never seen. And I was listening to like this audiobook by James Burrows, legendary Hollywood director, and he's dedicated like two chapters to Cheers, and everything that he had to say about it sounded very interesting. And I just thought that let me check it out. And yeah, having a good time, and I'm just enjoying my quick, 23 minutes of just dumb fun and seeing like all these people while they're young, Kelsey Grammer and Woody Harrelson and all that.
You and I
It's been
have had
fun.
very different summer streaming experiences because I got really excited because Homicide: Life on the Street came to
Okay.
streaming on Peacock for the first time, and it's basically the precursor to The Wire. It's the same people, but they tried to do
Oh.
it on network television on NBC on Friday nights. And as far as I can tell, anyone in real life is just me and my dad that watch this show. No one, no one was staying up on Friday nights to watch this cop show in Baltimore, but it is awesome. It's one of my favorite shows, and it
Yeah.
finally made its way to streaming this summer, so I was very happy about that.
Yeah. Speaking of The Wire, that or Sopranos might be the next drama I try to binge. Those are
Hmm.
still,
You're
yeah,
getting into
some of my blind spots.
my Mount Rushmore territory of TV.
Yeah, it's just when as I'm getting like, up there in age as well, and
It looks great, by the way.
like
Is this a video? Are you releasing the video of this? Because you look fantastic. So
yes, thank
I
you.
don't want people to think you're like decrepit and like hunched over or anything. I am. If you see me
Wait,
standing up, you're like, oh God, he's 6 inches from the grave. But I'm here to podcast the faculty is my dying breath.
just a little bit more gray in the beard. That's it. You look the same as well.
Feel terrible.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, Elijah Wood. Yep, mentioned him. John Stewart. I vaguely remembered that he was like the teacher that they came to with this alien and this snail looking thing. So I guess what I didn't remember was that it was kind of like a body snatcher thing. I
Mm.
kind of vaguely remembered like it was alien related, but didn't remember the details. And I think, you mentioned that like this movie was just okay for you back then. I think I also left feeling the same way because, we kind of mentioned some of the previous things. We had Scream come out, and then we had I Know What You Did Last Summer the previous year. And
Check out
so
the original remake where we did one whole month on that franchise.
all four movies, and then what's funny is like that reboot or whatever, the Lego sequel that just came out. I thought that you might reach out and be like, hey, we should add this to, to make it the fifth movie.
I did, and then I watched it, and I kept my powder dry. I was like, "Meh,
Oh,
it's fine."
is it so would you, I mean, it's got to be better than that third movie that we watched, right? No, it's bad. That bad? No
Yes,
way.
it's very bad. I
How?
was very disappointed because I'm a fan of definitely the first one. I still really like, and like the second one has some, guilty pleasure
Sure.
kind of stuff.
Jack Black,
Jack
yeah.
Black is top of
Yeah.
the list as far as that goes. Them attempting to kill Jennifer Love Hewitt when she gets in a tanning bed, which is just totally cheesecake. Get her in a
Right.
bikini, and then all
Sure.
that stuff.
Yeah.
And then yeah, we went further in the franchise, and it kept getting worse. And yeah, but I would say this new one is the worst one.
I
Yeah.
almost want to see it just to see how bad it is then. Holy cow. Okay, so not worth podcasting, but maybe if I want to waste my time and yeah, we'll
I mean,
see.
I'll
Okay,
certainly talk
okay.
about it with you. I'm fine with that. I don't know if
Yeah.
I'll rewatch for that discussion. I may just have to remember my experience from a few months ago.
Well, I'll maybe I'll watch it and decide, and it's either, maybe it's bad enough that I want to talk about that, or what was the other one that we just brought up? See, this is how old we are now. I don't
Yeah,
even
go back to
remember.
Cheers.
Yeah,
Just do
yeah.
a whole Cheers rewatch podcast.
Well, there's already one that I listened to, and actually, I'm hoping to be a guest on the current season that he's on right now. So we'll see.
There you go.
That's how I got into it. That's how much into Cheers I got. All right. So let's get back to this movie. The faculty, Robert Patrick. I didn't remember that he was the coach. Um, in this one, I remembered a coach, because of like Varsity Blues, and
Hmm.
I think a few more years we'll get a couple more years, maybe even not another teen movie that has a character very much like this, a very aggressive, um, demanding type of coach.
Robert
And I
Patrick
think,
is just a little bit better physical condition than John Voight from Varsity Blues. Although
yes,
I will give a, demerit to the faculty that they did not have him redo his T2 running sequence. Like he's chasing, but we never get a
yeah,
full-on shot of him running. It's like usually, even in that hallway sequence, that sort of opener, he's usually just like it's a jump cut and he's just like standing there. But it's like I want to see
fair
him run
enough.
across the football field, full-on Forrest Gump mode. Just see him just fly through the team.
Well, I mean, it's been about what, 6 years since, no, not even 6 years, like probably like 9 years for how long they filmed like T2, right? So he may not
Hey
be in the
man,
best of shape.
Tom Cruise is a senior citizen. If
Yep,
he can do
that's
it, I
fair.
think Robert Patrick could have still done it in the 90s.
Probably good. He looks good though. He got the nice hair going. Like I said, BB Newirth, like she looks great in here. Piper Laurie even as like
See,
Miss
there's
Olsen or
a
whatever.
yeah, Piper Laurie, you're getting like
Wow.
a horror icon with, Carrie's mom coming in. So I do like that little touch.
Man, yeah, just a really great cast. Okay, so tell me, I mean, you kind of talked about like, your history with it a little bit, like watching it, but what about like in recent memory? Like how often do you revisit this movie?
I'm sure I have rewatched it, but I don't remember like, in the sort of glory days of our movie podcasting, which we started doing like over 10 years ago. I was rewatching a lot of stuff just for podcast episodes, but I don't remember doing one on the faculty. I could just have totally lost that. I'm sure I've rewatched it at some point, but it's kind of like what you were saying. It's not recent enough that I remembered a lot of the details about this. Like, other than the fact that Robert Rodriguez directed it, I had forgotten that Salma Hayek was in it. And then of course she pops up. I'm like, yeah, they always work together. I would say she's probably underutilized. She's like the first kill sequence that we get to see in full. Everything else, they sort of fade to black or they allude to it. But her death is the reveal of, I guess, it's actually aliens. That's the presence here. Um, I remember, I did remember the kids, their ability to tell, I guess, good from bad or human from alien was to do drugs or some, version of like caffeine pills that they snort. Um, and I felt like I remember that being slightly controversial, at the time, but it feels slightly dated in a somewhat quaint way because the not long after this probably was shot, you start getting into like the Columbine shootings and stuff, and so kids snorting caffeine pills and being chased by aliens does not feel probably as relevant as a sort of a scary thing for teenagers to deal with. But I do remember that being like just a little blip, that was the way the heroes could tell good from bad. Um, I will say that my wife pretty much called every reveal as far as who, they're like, we got to get the head alien. If we get the host or whatever, the one that started this infection, which is sort of a catch-all for every movie like this, right? Be like vampires or whatever. It's like we just get the one who's like really bad, then the people he like who got turned, they'll be safe at the end, including Jean Grey, Famke Janssen, who goes from being extremely touchy with Josh Hartnett to when she reverts back to like a meek human teacher. She's in the stands waving at him, which yet again I was like, professionally, woman, what the hell are you doing? Why are you why are you flirting with a kid during football practice on there? I guess you could say it's being supportive, but
Well,
um
yeah, there's that, and I don't know. I guess for the time back then, I guess they made it clear that he was a like a repeated a senior, at least by 1 year,
it's the
and
optics, Pete. It
now
still doesn't look great.
he's
Now
over
like
18.
here's the thing. Peter's only probably slightly defending it because he looked
Oh,
like
whoa,
Josh Hartnett in high
I'm not
school.
saying
So
defending it.
he was probably like batting away teachers left and right. Whereas, my experience was actually, I don't, that's the one thing like, and I do remember that watching it as a teenager, I didn't feel like, because it's all about me. I didn't feel like I was reflected at all in this. Like, it's got the very Breakfast Clubby kind of tropes where it's like, the
It
jock and
does.
the dork and
Yeah.
the outcast, the princess, I guess. Although the princess here, I guess, is Jordana Brewster,
Yeah.
but she's
Yep.
just a jerk pretty much the
Hmm.
entire time. So there's no Molly Ringwald there. She's really dedicated to getting cutting edge news for her high school newspaper, which I've found then and now absurd. Like most people like that, they just want as many sort of things on their resume for college to say I was the editor of the newspaper. They're not breaking into the faculty lounge to find a smoking gun or something. So yeah, I remember watching it thinking like, where's the guy who just wants to like fuck around with his friends and like watch movies? Like that that
Right.
was me.
Yeah.
Like Dazed and Confused is more, even though that's set in the 70s, is more, I guess, how my teenage years sort of looked. Just kind of like wasting time and just fucking around. So yeah, I don't know. You could be Josh Hartnett, but I don't know who I am in this. I mean,
Well, I mean, clearly the characters that represent us were in the movie club, watching the
right.
movies.
They're
Yeah.
safe. They weren't even
It
involved in all this.
before I knew that this was written by Kevin Williams, I'm like, oh man, they're doing the Scream thing where they have Stokely, who's talking to Mary Beth in the stands, and they're talking about like the movies and the rules with when it comes to body snatching and stuff.
Mhm.
So I thought that was really interesting and made a lot of sense. I kind of vaguely remember the pool scene of being them being chased by the alien as well. Just vaguely though. But
Yeah, unlike Stokely, I didn't have to fake like that I was gay so people would leave me alone. I was just an asshole. That tend to work better as far as just if you didn't want to socialize.
I do remember another moment now. It's when the jock, I'm forgetting his name. It is let's see, Stan. So it's when Stan runs out to the field, comes back, and they're like, "All right, hey, snort this," and he's like, "Okay, okay, okay," and then he just like turns it upside down and wastes all of that. So I kind of remember that moment, between Stan and Stokely. Um, And I thought
which
that
is a
was really well
classic
done too.
kind of trope in these type of movies. Like I don't know
I
if you
think
saw
so.
Sinners earlier this year, which is a
Yes.
substantially better movie than The
Oh,
Faculty,
sure.
but
100%.
where they're dealing with vampires, you get a very similar setup as far as, inviting someone in, someone that you once
The husband
trusted.
and wife.
Have they
Yeah.
turned, that sort of thing. I like all those, those little touches here. Look, I chose for us to record on this, so I don't hate this movie. Obviously, like
No.
you asked me, you were texting me, you're like, hey, let's do like a podcast. Is there like a like a kind of a scary movie or something for the Halloween season you'd like to do? And I was thinking, I was like, I've got a weird inclination to rewatch The Faculty. So I don't hate it, although I don't want people to come away from this podcast thinking like, man, Mike just fucking loves The Faculty. Like, why is that his number one horror movie to rewatch? It is not. I'm actually gonna go see Scream again, and I usually watch
Oh,
that one on an annual basis. Like a theater around here will be playing it, so that
oh,
would probably be
interesting.
my
Okay.
favorite from my youth as far as scary kind of slash funny movies. But I mean, it's entertaining. I'm gonna throw this to you. Do
Okay.
you think these type of movies, like with young actors, and by young I mean presumably like 25, 26, playing 16-year-olds, but up and coming actors, do you think they resonate longer, not because of the finished product of The Faculty, but if they go off and do other things? Because I mentioned Dazed and Confused, which has a lot of big actors in it. When you have these ensemble things like before they were famous, do you think people enjoy them more going back to them if everyone went on to have these? Because Faculty has it. Everyone, like the majority of them, have had very successful careers. Do you think that helps kind of mid movies like this
I think
maintain
so.
some watchability? Okay,
I think so. I mean, yeah. I mean, Elijah Wood, right? The star of Back to the Future Part Two.
there you go.
Yeah, he
Uh,
goes on to do Lord of the
very
Rings.
very good fashion choices he has, that young man in Back to the Future too.
Yeah. And in what I thought was interesting as well, the movie kind of ends with like, oh, him saving the school, and the Jordana Brewster's character, she shows him like he's on the cover of like all these magazines and whatnot, and I think, yeah, one of the headlines does say like, students save school or something, and then I think
He makes out with
his
the
well,
Fast and
yeah, well,
Furious
there's
chick.
that. Right, but his name is either I saw his name either printed or she said it out loud where it's like Casey, what is it? Casey Connor or something like that. I was like, oh, that's a superhero name because it's the double letters, right? It's CC, and so I
Yeah,
wonder
Matt
if that was
Murdock, Peter
intentional.
Parker. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, exactly. So I was just like, oh, so I wonder if that was the thing that was supposed to be the clue that he's going to be the hero of the movie. I thought he did really good here. One of the scenes I thought was super funny is when they're in the gymnasium and they have Famke Janssen, and no, it's BB Newworth, the principal, and he takes like one of the pens and he's like, sniff this. I was just like, I thought it was funny because like I was just like. Uh, I don't know if it was meant to be funny. I don't know if you found it funny, but I'm just like, isn't the correct term snort? Like you want to
it's
snort the
yeah. I mean, Sniff is like, does he want this alien just to get like, just a small
a
little
whiff,
taste? That's
just a
it.
little
Like,
whiff.
and then you have to pay for the rest. Once you're addicted to Alien. But yeah, it's not something you would expect like in an Arnold movie from the '80s, where it's like the hero's big line is "sniff this."
Yeah,
Or maybe someone's gonna prove me wrong that there actually was some action movie with him where he said that, but I'm only gonna disagree with you slightly in this. I mean, because he's clearly the hero. What I didn't remember, and I found kind of interesting, and I could be wrong on this, but is Josh Hartnett the only one of our heroes that doesn't get turned?
yeah, yes,
Because even in
yes.
his like the climax of it, where Elijah Wood conquers the sort of alien queen, he still gets infected just
Well,
right before all of that goes away because he got the big bad. But Josh Hartnett just gets what, knocked out, right? Doesn't he just get thrown into a locker and then he's benched for the finale? So he's the only one
that's
that
it.
doesn't go through that experience. I thought it was kind of cool. I thought it was cool that the drug pusher is the only one that doesn't get infected. He's the one that did not get have to go through that sensation. But
Is
also,
that is that the message? Is that the message here? Like
I think I mean, I'm
sniff
watching a lot
drugs.
of Homicide Life on the Street, watching a lot of The Wire. Yeah, I think that that is the message is you can make a lot of money, capital off drug pushing, but do not get caught up in your own wares, which I think he says in this movie, right?
Yeah,
He's like, I don't get high on my own supply, that sort of thing.
he does.
Um, yeah, I mean it's a fun movie. I don't we probably would not be remembering it all if there wasn't Josh Hartnett, if there wasn't Frodo in it, Salma Hayek in Nothing Part, and then Jon Stewart, who oddly did get like a push for those mid to late '90s movies where he would pop up in like rom-coms and various
Big
things. But
Daddy. Yeah.
yeah, he always like a secondary. I don't remember there ever being a movie that starred Jon Stewart. Do you? Where he was like the main
Oh,
guy. Right.
not at all. Not at all. Yeah, yeah. I think you're right in that he's
The way you
never
said
really
that
been a
was like,
lead
oh, that
guy.
would be awful. You're like, no, we don't want that.
I'd have to see it. Yeah, I'm sure he would have done fine in one of the Sandler movies. I don't know why he wasn't an actual lead. I mean, Big Daddy, like he could have. I mean, I don't know. He probably could have been Big Daddy.
You talk about aging and like gray hair and stuff that's like, and infecting me, like the alien invasion. Um Jon Stewart has, I think, he aged better. Like it's weird to see him like after the Daily Show, after him doing that for decades, going back and seeing him as like the high school science teacher. It's a little weird. He's the one that stands out the most for me. Like this is kind of awkward. I don't feel that way obviously when Salma Hayek's on screen, but Jon Stewart, I'm like, this just
As a
doesn't seem
nurse.
right.
Yeah, I didn't really have any strong opinions about his character in here. I thought his scenes were fine actually. I love
I
the
mean,
the pen to the eye and all that.
sticking his hand into the tank
Oh yeah,
when he
that's
said, "Hey, Elijah Wood, you've just discovered a new species. Let me just touch it. Now that we've put it in water, I just want to touch it and feel it." And then immediately is bit, of course.
well, yeah. I mean, to be fair, he didn't know he didn't see teeth, right? Like the teeth, I believe, grew while it was in the water and then it reproduced. So, um, I think as probably as a man of science, he's just very curious. But yeah, a new species,
Peter
you're
is
probably right.
braver than me because, like, I'm not even standing
No.
next to that tank. I'm like, I'm,
I'd be watching and I'd be like, hey, somebody else, stick your finger in there. Let me so I
yeah,
could observe it
yeah.
from a different vantage point. Uh, let's see what else happens. Usher Raymond. I thought, I guess I kind of remembered him having a bigger role, but doesn't at all. Just
I
a
think
throwaway
he
role
was
here.
bigger in the marketing because that was a
Yeah.
time where, I mentioned Dawson's Creek. There was a lot of like cross promotion to sell teenagers like clothes and shit. And I felt like there was like was it like a Tommy Hilfiger campaign or something that was like pushing the movie, but also getting these like young actors to like put on those clothes. And I'm pretty sure Usher at that time was in more of the promotional material than he was. I mean, his parts kind of insubstantial. He's just like the other football player, essentially, and the one who gets to be a more consistent jerk both when he's human because he's bullying Frodo Baggins, and then after when he turns into an alien football player, he's like, I mean, he would be flagged left and right for some of the hits. I mean, he's just like
Yeah.
basically just
Holy
punching
shit.
people in the face and knocking them down. But this was filmed in Texas and it's set in Ohio. Both places love their football, but
Sure do.
no humans in the stands seem to think there's anything wrong with this kid just being a total maniac on the field.
Yeah, even the other coach, he's just like, ah, shit. My players got hit. Oh well. Just his reaction. Um, yeah, Usher, let's see, 98. I believe that's when he dropped that album, like My Way. I think that was the same year as well. So he was huge on the radio. Um, yeah, I really like Clay Duvall in this role. She's kind of the main lead. Like, did you remember the reveal? Did you remember who
I
the no
did.
face was? Okay,
I did. My wife, having never seen it, called it immediately. It was like, oh, that's who it is, right?
the
And
new
I'm like,
girl.
man,
Yeah,
this is telegraphed, I guess, like crazy. I think they try to trick people because they put in like a sort of like romantic, will they, won't they, in this 90-minute movie or whatever for Josh Hartnett and her, and it's like but it's got to be the new person, right? I mean,
yeah.
who it's like the girl's first day of school, and that's when people start being weird and behaving strangely. So, yeah, I remembered the nose thing because I always hated that as a kid. So there's a
Oh yeah.
sequence where they're like, "All right, you gotta snort this to prove that you're human," And I guess the aliens have the ability to like they can block their nose holes like but she also does the thing where she like with her finger like
Pinky.
the little
Yeah.
magic trick she like makes sure that it empties out before she starts. I'm like pick one. I was like it doesn't, what's all this song and dance with it? I hated the nose thing. Just did not
Yeah.
like that.
I didn't like that, but also the pinky. I'm pretty sure all eyes were on her at that moment. You're telling me none of them noticed her fucking pinky change to like a little tentacle?
As the like queen alien, could she not because there's another infected one, Fast and Furious girl is also
Right.
infected. Could she
Yeah.
not, wink wink nudge nudge, hey, you have to be the one to like take the bullets here. That's if Clea Duvall could, hit anything with the handgun. That's how I remembered it. I remembered it like, oh, there's two of them in the scene, and one of them sort of outs herself, and then they all stop paying attention to the other one. But
Uh,
none of this fooled my wife, and yeah, it's like I'm pretty sure even as a teenager, I was like, oh, it's got to be the new girl, right? Yeah, it's the new girl.
I didn't
Not
even
quite
think
as
about it.
clever as the Scream Killers, for sure.
No, not at all. I actually thought that it might have been another faculty member. It was more so of like Robert Patrick's like delivery of when we kind of see him being approached by an unfaced person, whatever. Um, I do like kind of how it was shot. I don't have any like big specifics, but there was a part where I'm forgetting the scene too. I know we're kind of focused on like a teacher or whatever, and there's this kind of like jarring jump,
They do like
like zooming
multiple sort
in.
of jump cuts, like ahead, like they don't
Yeah.
like do a slow zoom. That was on Piper Laurie, I
Okay.
believe, when she's talking to Elijah Wood because he's attempting to take a picture of the coach standing
Oh,
in the
that's
field.
right.
And it's after the elderly teacher, the alien infestation doesn't take, and she goes in the shower. And I've given
I
my wife a lot of credit here because she was so like on top of things. But when this elderly woman approaches a teenage boy who's showering after practice or whatever, um, he starts freaking out just because it's an older lady. It's not Jean Grey, which Jean Grey, Josh Hartnett. I'm sure he's like, hey, this is fine. Peter would be like, yeah, that's cool
yes.
too, because I'm I'm used to women throwing themselves at me. Um, but my wife thought that Stan yelled at Elijah Wood to like get out or something or like go away. And I'm like, no, he said, get help. Like, cause she was
Yeah,
like,
get
why would
help.
he?
Yeah.
She heard that. And I was like, there's no way that kid. She's like, that doesn't make any sense. Why would he say get out? And I'm like, no, he was saying like, go get somebody because I don't know what to do with this. Um, yeah, I mean, there's some effective, I feel like this is a movie that if you saw it for the first time and you'd not seen any other horror movies, I think you maybe like it less than adults because they're keying off of they mentioned Invasion of the Body Snatchers, like that book. Strangely, they also mentioned Schindler's List in the same sequence, which
Right.
was kind of off-putting to me. Um, but there's so many things like Piper Laurie being that the attachment to Carrie and all these sort of like little horror scenarios in high school. It seems like it's almost like a sort of like a cover band, like playing at your local bar. And it's like, so all these little things you might like in the history of like horror, now we're going to do it with this sci-fi movie set in a school. So yeah, I mean, I like those touches. I probably like them more now as an old man than I did as a teenager when I just thought, oh, there's scarier movies than this. Why am I watching this?
Yeah. I did. Yeah, I didn't mind it. I'd probably revisit it, but I don't know if I would actually like seek it out and be like, I'm in the mood for the faculty. I thought it was fine. Very
I have a
surprised
question
by,
for you.
yeah,
As a father of many children, the way
several.
you got
Yes.
into podcasting was you introducing childhood classics from your time period to your son then, and now he's a grown man. Faculty, any of your teenagers you've had, do you think they would be into this, even though it's a movie that is decades old at this point? Would they be interested in the faculty at all?
Possibly. I mean, Phoenix is 25 now. Um, maybe because some of these stars are still recognizable to him. Jordana Brewster. Like you mentioned, the Fast series. Josh Hartnett is making a resurgence.
Trap.
Obviously,
He's a
yeah.
dad. He's in a horror
See,
movie
there
where
you go.
did you see Trap? Did you like it?
I did not. I did not.
Didn't like it or didn't watch it?
Didn't watch it. Yeah, I
Oh,
didn't have
okay.
time. Yeah, that's
We should
the
we should do that
one of the
one.
concert, right?
Then
One
I
of the
could just
concert.
really pepper you with fatherhood questions like, okay, this guy is a serial killer and a dad. Would you say your experiences are the same? That's pretty much what the entire episode would be. It would be me comparing you to a father who's also a serial killer.
Ah, okay, all right. Well,
There should
I'll
be
take
some
a look. See,
differences, Pete.
I hope so. I hope so. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe if somebody was looking for a recommendation, yeah, possibly like The Faculty. If you've already seen Scream, if you've seen all these other Kevin Williamson movies,
Hmm.
yeah, maybe check out The Faculty. Let's see here. The ratings, IMDb has it at 6.6, so slightly above average. Rotten Tomatoes, looks like I think Rotten under 60. Is that no? I kind of forget, but Rotten Tomatoes has it at 58%. What do you think in there?
That's fine. I mean, I don't want to like just justify my viewing behavior by saying you need guilty pleasures in there, but yeah, I also would probably find it somewhat off-putting if something like The Faculty was like 90% fresh, because I'd
Right.
be like, well, clearly it's not, some sort of classic, but I like middle of the road movies. Movies they've got some stupid stuff in there, but they're entertaining. Like I am more interested as someone who wants to have a long form conversation on a podcast, probably with something that had like a 58% than I would be if you and I were going to talk about something that was at 90 or 95. We're either going to come in and be like, everything you hear, it is great. We've got
Yeah.
nothing new to say, or we're going to be the antagonists of the internet and be like, actually, I didn't like it. So yeah,
Yeah.
I like these. I like the ones that's like, so what, 58,
Yeah.
60%? That's fine with me.
It may not sound like it, but honestly, when I finished the movie yesterday, right before I texted you, the movie ended. I go, you know what? This movie rules.
There you
For
go.
what it's worth, I didn't think it was a waste of time. It was fun revisiting it, seeing all these people, really young and, really nailing their part. So yeah, I would recommend it for my kids, like, yeah, if they were asking for a recommendation, possibly this could make that list. Not a high recommend to my kids just to say like, you guys should watch this, but I had a good time
You're
revisiting it.
not in your podcast studio. You're not going to get on eBay and start, ordering original print of
No,
the posters. You're not going to have a banner
not at
of
all.
the faculty.
No.
Although, if there's someone out there who's a new listener who's just looking for some of the faculty content, God bless you. That's cool with me. If this is your bag, this is your movie, then go for it. But I would find it a little bit weird if I suggested this to my buddy Peter, and he's like, I just ordered a bunch of faculty stuff. I think this is Back to the Future. No, this is now my new favorite movie of all time. But I'm glad you had a good time with it. That's all I'm
Yeah.
asking.
Yeah, yeah, I really did. And if you want, if anybody wants like something, fun and thriller, that's kind of in this ilk, I guess, tonally. The Frighteners is something I would,
Yeah,
revisit.
you're hitting it
So
on the head. It's that mid to late 90s kind of horror movie aimed, but not, it's not the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's
yeah,
aimed at preteens and teens to be able to enjoy it, and it's sort of a starter set of
yeah,
horror movies.
I love the way you put that there. All right, Mike. So thank you for jumping in and presenting this movie again because I probably would not have just thought about going back to revisit The Faculty without somebody's suggestions. So thanks for that. I think I'm gonna probably watch it again sooner than later. Not soon, but again, I was actually very surprised by how much I was into it. Kind of just be taken back to the late '90s a little bit and seeing a young Josh Hartnett because it's been so long since I've really seen him in anything. I mean, I remember like the Pearl Harbor, and I'm just like, well, what else do I remember him from? Not a whole lot. So it was so nice to seeing him again. So, where can people find your podcast Tit?
It's Trilogy in Theory, and as much as I love the moniker that Pete also seems enthusiastic about, you will not find us if you Google Tit Podcast, or you'll find something else entirely different. Which, hey, check those out too. I'm sure they're fine.
Sure.
But Trilogy in Theory, I've been doing it since I think 2020. It's Pete and I started podcasting. I had a show called War Machine versus War Horse, which would do three movies in one episode, and it was usually a new release that sort of inspired a theme for an old double feature to pair with it. We're not doing that because I'm old and lazy, but we kind of kept the thematic concept. But now we do it once a month. We pick a theme, so every week you get one movie. You see how I did that, Pete? Instead of doing three
Yeah,
movies in one episode, now I just stretch it out for the month. So we
nice.
have a monthly theme. It's not necessarily a new movie, although we did have a recent Superman episode because my co-host Webb, he's also a big comic book collector, so we were both really excited to cover that one. And so for that string of episodes, we did kindness in the workplace and sort of kindness being attacked. And Jerry Maguire will finish off that trilogy
Mm.
because Pete and I have discussed Jerry Maguire before. The premise of that film is Tom Cruise finds a heart as a sports agent, and then the world starts to hate him. So that's our connection to Superman there, Jerry Maguire. So yeah, Trilogy in Theory, you can find it Apple Podcasts, Spotify, on socials. Everything is going to be at Trilogy in Theory.